Hello Internet, in this video I will show you how I made these overhead, staggered, suspended with threaded rod garage shelves and transformed this part of my garage from looking like this to this. Keep watching. Welcome to Scott's Garage. Welcome literally to my garage. Whether it's working on a daily driver or a project car, or a project around the home or the yard or the patio, a pallet project, Scott's Garage is a place for do-it-yourselfers. Everything is do-it-yourself. Welcome to my channel. Okay, here's the presenting problem. These metal shelves that I've had for years, originally I purchased them at Costco. I think they're 48 inches wide. They are adjustable. However, they just don't fit very well in the garage, and I have some wasted space. I really can't put the coolers in there. And the Christmas tree normally fits there, but it doesn't fit very well. And so I'm just going to redesign all this, and I'm going to put in some suspended shelves that use the threaded rod like I've used on the other shelves in the garage. So I'll suspend them from the ceiling. Instead of 48 inches, I'm going to try to go 6 feet, which should bring us right here. Leaves enough room for the ladder. And I want the first shelf to be rather deep, at least 3 feet deep. And then the shelf down from that, maybe 2 feet deep, and then the bottom shelf, maybe 1 foot, but it'll go over. And I really think with better dimensions, it'll give me more space. I won't have all this clutter down here, and the shelves will be up above. That's the goal. Okay, I just got back from my local hardware and supply store called McCoy's here in Texas. I bought the threaded rod. These are 10-foot lengths, and it's the 1/2-inch diameter threaded rod, the coarse. And I got the corresponding nuts that fit on that. I was going to buy some MDF, but the price of MDF is just outrageous. Normally, MDF is cheaper than plywood, but not this time. The plywood is actually cheaper. And when I went to get the plywood cut, they had this piece of plywood already cut about the dimensions I was looking for. And it was in the used pile that the cut didn't go as planned. So I actually got this for 10 bucks, which was a steal. And likewise, I bought some 2x4s. And normally I use studs that are 2x3, but they gave me all this wood, so the plywood and the 2x4s for less than $20. I thought, I'll just use that and make it work. And I prefer plywood anyway. So anyway, I have the supplies. It's time now to make the shelves. Sorry for the poor camera angle here. What I'm doing here is cutting the 2x4s using my compound miter saw and making 45-degree miter cuts. Here I'm using my Kreg pocket hole jig, which I love. I use it all the time for drilling the holes, and it'll work well for joining these corners together. I should also point out that this overall project is part of a playlist called Scott's Garage Makeover. You can see 2 other sets of shelves that I built using the threaded rod. Here I'm applying Gorilla wood glue. It's the best glue to get. It's very strong. Likewise, see the Amazon affiliate link below. Just spreading it out here. So a combination of the glue and now the screws will make for a perfect joint. Okay, not shown in the video, but I did the exact same thing for the other shelves. So 3 different sizes. These are staggered shelves, and use the pocket hole jig for all of them, and they're ready to go. It's time now to paint, and I'm going to put a little video in the corner here from a previous video showing you the exact specifications of the paint. It's time now to paint. I'm going to use cabinet paint. This is Valspar Cabinet and Furniture Oil-Enriched Enamel. So the oil-enriched makes it so that you have less brush strokes in that. I am going to brush it on. And the color that I've chosen for this garage makeover is this. It's called Rock Bottom. You can see it there, but it's a nice like stone gray, and I think it'll work well. Okay, what I'm doing next is that I've already gone up into the crawl space into the attic, and there are rafters going this way across, and The shelves are going to start coming out right about here, this way. And well, I'll do that later. I marked it over there. But I measured, so I cut these at the right length, and they're going to actually run this way across those rafters. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to just slide those in place. I marked 3 inches because that's the overlap. And so the back of the shelves will be right at that mark. And then I'm just, since everything's lined up here, I'm just going to drill down, not all the way through, or I'll drill into my workbench, but drill enough to mark these 2x4s. And then I'll pull them out and drill all the way through, and it'll give me perfect placement then. All I have to do then is basically put these up and screw them in place, and then drill a hole through the drywall here, and then I just drop the rods down. Here I'm cleaning the old shelves off, but then I decided to use the metal shelves as a support for the upper shelf. The new shelves, those shelves are quite heavy, and it worked quite well. It gave me a lot of leverage. Okay, what I've done here is I pushed the rods in from the bottom and took a little bit of masking tape, and just on the top end, put a little masking tape, and the rods won't drop down at the approximate height in which they need to go. Now I'm going to go up in the attic, and I'll feed it through the 2x4s and then put some nuts on top. Okay, I'm in the attic, and you can see again the rods sticking up. They're obviously not the exact height yet, but I'll stick them through the 2x4, put the nuts on it, and then level it here and then drop it down. Okay, that's done. Here I'm raising up the shelf so I can take out the old shelves. Okay, what I've done here, I wanted to make sure this top shelf was low enough to handle this cooler, which it is. And it's not shown, but what I've done here then is I've leveled this top shelf, and you just adjust the bolts, the nuts, excuse me. So it's level this way, and then it's also level this way, and it's just, you know, tightening so it's perfectly level. It's at the height that I want. And the next thing now is adding more shelves. Adding the second and third shelves is a little bit tedious. You have to put the second shelf in place there on the lower rod hanging down, add a nut, and then to the other side add a nut, raise it up, tighten the nuts, and it's kind of a slow process, but you just raise it up, and I'm leveling it here, and then adding the third shelf. Okay, what I did is I used my stud finder, and I found the studs on this back wall, and I marked them. And the centers are 16 inches apart. And so there's 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm going to use a pilot hole, just a very small drill bit, and angle it about 40, halfway in the board, and angle it at about 45 upward. And I will use that to put some longer screws in. Okay, there we go, nice and level. Now I want to point out what the nuts look like. As you can see here, these nuts have a built-in flare, and for lack of a better term, built into the flare are dozens of like lock washers. And as you tighten the nut and it presses into the wood, and also as you put a load on the shelves, it's pressing in on these ridges and it prevents it from backing off and coming loose. In addition to this though, I have some blue thread lock, and I'll be putting some of it on each of the ends, and also in the attic on top, likewise, just to make double sure that the nuts are not going to come loose. Okay, I'm back in the attic. I'm going to make sure the nuts are tight, and I'm going to put some screws in the 2x4s along the rafters just to make sure that they're not going to slide around, and I'll put some Loctite on. Okay, here's the final product. Now, truth be told, I did take some of the items that were on the middle shelves to the thrift store, but for the most part, these are the items that were on the shelves, and it's a lot neater. I am able to store a lot more. I have plenty of room right up here for the Christmas tree when Christmas is over, and a little more room there. Plus, it's nice and clean down here, and I'm sure I'll be putting some items in there, maybe my air compressor and that, or I could pull our car a little further in to leave more space in the back. We will see. Hey, if you got any value at all from these hanging shelves, please give me a thumbs up. It costs you nothing, but is of great value to me. And as always, have a great day.